It took the Azerbaijani side only a few hours to admit that it was their military behind the downing of the Russian plane and to issue an apology. They are making it clear that it was a tragic accident, citing poor visibility, darkness, and also, in general, how heightened the pressure is on their military at this point, which automatically makes this escalation much less dangerous and shows that perhaps at this point for Azerbaijan, all the combat zone fighting in Nagorno-Karabakh, which is about 170 kilometers away from the crash site, is enough, that they don't want to bring this conflict onto a whole new level. They don't want to expand this war geographically if indeed that attack was a mistake.
In Armenia, demonstrators have gathered outside the parliament in Yerevan to show their discontent with Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan. They're unhappy with his decision to sign a peace deal with Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh. People are angry with Mr. Pashinyan for agreeing the deal, which they see as a betrayal and humiliating.
I'm responsible for this situation and will bear responsibility. This is a great failure for us, a great catastrophe. But I believe that Armenia and Nagorno-Karabakh must live, must reinforce, must strengthen, and must reconsider the previous views on various issues.
In other world news, Hong Kong's government has disqualified 4 opposition politicians moments after China passed a new patriotism resolution in Parliament. It allows Hong Kong's government to kick out lawmakers who endanger national security or challenge China's rule over Hong Kong. 19 opposition politicians had earlier threatened a mass resignation if any of them were barred from the Legislative Council.
There are 4 legislators who have been deemed in accordance by the law to not genuinely swear to uphold the Basic Law and not genuinely plead their allegiance to Hong Kong. We have doubts about their ability to perform their duties. If they are unable to uphold the Basic Law and to support Hong Kong, of course they are not qualified to be legislators.
A tip-off from the United States has uncovered a network of alleged pedophiles operating across Australia. 14 men in total have been arrested. They're facing a staggering 828 charges for crimes against the most innocent members of society.
It's a shame file made up of alleged members of an international child exploitation ring, and those unmasked include 27-year-old childcare worker Timothy Doyle and his partner Stephen Garrard from Kendall. Between them, they face more than 420 child sex charges. Doyle is accused of abusing 30 children. 16 were from the Mid-North Coast Childcare Centre where he worked. 30-year-old Grant Harden from St Mary's was also an alleged member of the network, and he too had access to children as a volunteer soccer coach.
Good afternoon. The ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule has assured fellow party leaders that he will cooperate with law enforcement officials and will present himself before court on Friday. The top six meeting urgently last night following a warrant issued to Magashule for his arrest. The Hawks are coming for all of those connected to the Free State asbestos contract.
Magashule briefed the officials about the content of the letter he received, which indicates that he will be charged under Section 34 of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. The charges relate to his alleged failure to exercise oversight whilst he was Premier of the Free State province. The Secretary-General assured officials that he will fully cooperate with the law enforcement agencies and will present himself to court on Friday.
Her supporters affectionately call her Dao, a title that means aunt, but is also reserved for revered women. Not so long ago, Aung San Suu Kyi commanded this kind of respect all over the world. Her struggle for democracy made her an international symbol of peaceful resistance in the face of oppression. It even earned her a Nobel Peace Prize. The daughter of Myanmar's independence leader, General Aung San Suu Kyi, spent most of her formative years overseas. She returned to Myanmar in 1988 and called for democratic reforms and free elections, but was soon detained by the military junta. She spent much of the next 20 years under house arrest. Suu Kyi was freed in 2010 and the junta agreed to transition from military rule to civilian democracy. In 2015, Suu Kyi led her National League for Democracy to a landslide victory in Myanmar's first openly contested elections for 25 years.
The car with French President Emmanuel Macron in it going up the Champs-Élysées, heading toward the Arc de Triomphe. Well, that's where France 24's Chris Moore is. He joins us now live from there. Chris, first of all, tell us a bit more about the ceremonies today.
Yeah, it looks like that motorcade arriving just now. Jeannie, as you said, a scaled-back affair this year. Emmanuel Macron's day here began by laying a wreath at the statue of Georges Clemenceau, twice Prime Minister of France, the statesman who led the country out of World War I, who put pen to paper on the Versailles Treaty after famously demanding very onerous conditions, reparations, etc., of Germany. The French president then making his way to the Arc de Triomphe behind me, inaugurated in the mid-19th century by then French King Louis Philippe, where he will light the eternal flame here at the tomb of the unknown soldier.
We've all heard about stubborn hearts. Now it's time to meet one. And no, we're not talking about any individual here. This is an actual heart. It's been in a helicopter crash. It's been dropped by a clumsy medic. But it's still alive and pumping. We'll push the rewind button here for you and tell you what happened. This helicopter was transporting a human heart from San Diego to Los Angeles. Unfortunately, it crashed while landing on the hospital's roof. There were 3 people in the chopper. All 3 escaped without serious injuries. The heart also seemed intact, still viable for a transplant. A rescue worker retrieved the organ from the helicopter. He handed it over to a medic at the hospital. This is where part 2 of the miracle begins. The hospital worker tripped over a metal plate, possibly debris from the helicopter crash. Down went the heart, again! His colleagues came rushing over to secure the organ. You can almost sense the level of concentration here, as they carefully took the package inside.
There has been an explosion at a ceremony attended by Western diplomats and other foreign citizens. Here it is on the map, a cemetery in the city of Jeddah during a Remembrance Day ceremony to mark the end of the First World War. Several people injured in that.
Well, we've actually had a statement now from the embassies of France, Greece, Italy, the United States and the UK. Now, those are all the countries that were involved in this Remembrance Day ceremony that was taking place at a World War I cemetery in the Saudi Arabian city of Jeddah. And what happened was an explosive device went off during this ceremony. We understand that several people were wounded. We don't have any more details exactly about who the victims were, but it was a cemetery for non-Muslims. This is 11th of November. It is Commemoration Day, the Armistice Day, the end of World War I.
6期时代呢是将卫星通信跟地面的通信网络呢相融合。6期呢频段呢将从5期的毫米波段呢扩展到太赫兹波段。这个试验卫星呢对太赫兹的通讯在空间当中应用场景呢首次技术验证。